workshop to order, and if we can have roll call, please.
Dominic, Johnson, Jackson, Lynn,
Present.
Bowman,
Present.
Cawthorn, Gage Watts, Middleton, Atkins, Chavez, Smith, Lewis Johnson.
So if we all rise, Commissioner Cawthorn, will you lead us in the invocation?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Atkins, will you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir.
May we all bow our heads. Dear gracious eternal Father, we come to you this evening with bowed down and humble hearts. We are gracious for the group of people that have come out to share in the business of the commission this evening. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray that the hearts and minds of the group will be settled and intuitive as we discuss issues that are fundamental and paramount to the future of Caddo Parish. We thank you for everyone who is assembled, and we pray your grace and mercy upon this gathering. In Christ Jesus' name, we offer this petition. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in facing the flag and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're moving to our next item is agenda additions. I have no agenda additions, so we'll move to citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward it to myself or to the clerk of the commission. Comments by these citizens will be limited to 3 minutes. I currently have maybe like 3 or 4 cards. I'm going to call them in order as I can. Receive them. As I call your name, if you can come up to the podium and give your name, and then you'll have 3 minutes to talk. So the first one I have is John Andrew Prime. Is Mr. Prime present?
He is.
How you doing, sir? Mr. Prime, if you can come to the podium and give us your name, and then you can make your comments.
Hi, my name is John Andrew Prime. I live at 745 Rutherford Street in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm a member of the committee that is determining the fate of the Caddo Parish Civil War Confederate Monument. I understand there's a motion on the table today to disband the committee and just proceed with a course of action regarding the monument. I'm not going to say what our position is on the monument, but I must say for the work of the committee, for the past 9 months, we've met diligently with no compensation, sometimes at great cost to our time, to come up with a fair and historically responsible decision regarding our recommendation to you folks for the monument. I would ask that you please give us the few weeks that we need to complete this task that you have set us to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. Prime. Thank you for serving on the committee, and appreciate your comments. Kristen Hammett, is Miss Hammett present? How you doing, Miss Hammett? If you can come up and give your name, and the reason we're not asking questions, this is just a citizen's comment period.
Yes.
So we really can't ask any questions to you at this time, or answer any questions. So we appreciate your comments. I'll give it back to you, Miss Hammett.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Kristen Hammett, just taking the opportunity before work starts again here soon to just share some views. I, like others here in the gallery, attended all 4 of the listening tours and the citizen advisory committees that have occurred since. That's really a topic for another time, but it's been very enlightening. It's been very informative, and I must say that for me personally, the sum total of the issue should be about what's best for Shreveport, and I assert that whatever is going to make Shreveport more appealing, more attractive to potential commerce, companies, business interests, is something to very strongly consider. We don't live in the past, we're here in the now, and I think it's pretty good. I'm a proud resident of Shreveport, and there's so many wonderful things going on here. But to confuddle history and heritage, to which people have a right, with what our government buildings such as the courthouse also represent and intend to convey, i.e. justice, impartiality, is another factor to be strongly considered. Looks matter. So thank you, that's about it.
Thank you, Ms. Ham.
All right, I have Peggy McDaniel.
Hello, my name is Peggy McDaniel, and I'm a resident of the Parish of Caddo. I live in Keithville. And I appreciate you allowing us to come and give comments today. I've followed all of the talks that have been going on about the removal of the monument and very closely, and have been admonished many times to learn my history, and so I have. And I went down to the courthouse yesterday morning, and as I've learned about it, I walked to the oak tree where someone was lynched at. And I walked around in the morning, and I sat on the bench in front, and I sat next to a very nice black gentleman who was reading the newspaper there, something that I would not have been allowed to do, or he would have been allowed to do in the not too distant past. And we watched men in flak jackets with guns on their hips and rebel flags get out of their trucks from across the street and gather in front of that monument and proceed to march up and down in front of that monument, defending its historicity. And they made it a point to come and stand in front of us, very prominently displaying their weaponry and their flag. And I looked over that flag at Southern University, where I've seen the manacles that held slaves and read the deeds of sale for people. And I looked at the monument that was dedicated in 1906. And that same year, a gentleman named Thomas Jackson was lynched in Caddo Parish, one of 54 people, men, black men, that were hung in this parish. That is noted. That doesn't count all the ones that they haven't found. And it gave us the name Bloody Caddo. And as I watched them get out of those trucks, I thought about the Colfax Massacre in 1873, when men from Shreveport rode in a militia and murdered 150 black men and 3 white men who dared to vote Republican. And all of those things were going through my mind as I was watching people who were defending the right of history. And I live in Shreveport in 2017, and my sons do not want to live here because of things like that. Because we can't let go of a past that is not represented in that space. When I go to the courthouse, I have to walk past something that was dedicated in 1906, not to the dead, who were much better served if they were to be thought about in a memorial fashion, in a museum or in a cemetery. But it was placed there to show a large segment of this city that they were less than, that they were 3/5 of a person, that they did not have the same rights. And it was used when Police Commissioner Dartoy rode a horse up Little Union Baptist Church steps with the police behind him and beat that pastor almost to death for daring to register black people to vote. And that was 2 years before I was born. The schools were not desegregated until the 70s. I was in school then. This is my lifetime. We are still feeling the effects of that war in my lifetime and in my children's lifetime. And I would ask you to please think of that when you make this very serious decision as to who we are today. Are we what was then?
Second.
Are we what was then? When that terrible war split the United States in half, because they can talk about taxes and all of those things as long as they want, but what it was about was, are these new states going to be allowed to have slaves or not? Are we going to be able to commodify human beings to make money? Caddo incarcerates more people than several countries in the world still, and a large proportion are black. We're still feeling the effects of those days now, and we cannot move forward as a people until these things are addressed. And part of that is to put history in its proper context, and that would be to move that monument into a place where it can be viewed in its proper context. And that would be in a museum, surrounded with the full truth of what that time period was about. Or in the VA cemetery where other men have fought and died on this land. But until we do that, we are still bloody Caddo. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie Nichols.
Is the microphone on?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
My name is Jackie Nichols, 433 Albert, Shreveport, Louisiana, and I'm serving on the advisory committee, and I'm here to request that the commission continue to support the work of the Confederate Monuments Citizens Advisory Committee established by this body in November. Our committee is working hard toward developing a fair resolution to present to you commissioners. We have spent 9 months as unpaid volunteers, speaking not only amongst ourselves in many meetings, but actively solicited input from the citizens of Caddo Parish in the public hearings. I want to thank those of you who have attended these events to witness the discussions that will help this committee come to a reasonable and peaceful resolution. It would be a mistake to disband this committee when it is so near to concluding its work. This advisory group feels that the final written resolution statement that we have been charged with making is too important to our community to rush. Further, we feel it is necessary for all committee members to be allowed time to discuss everyone's position points, and all 9 should be present at an upcoming meeting to vote on them as directed before the final proposal is offered to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lloyd Thompson. Should I say the Lloyd Thompson?
Let me say good afternoon. I'm 1315 Milam. You know, I'm still kind of puzzled at this conversation that's still going on. Some years ago, we bought Dr. Overtree, and we stood on the lawn of Caddo Parish Courthouse and talked about that statue. Just flew back in from Baltimore on Saturday, seeing how their downtown growing, the city getting along. Is Shreveport gonna move on? We got to make the decision to move the statue. Put it somewhere where it still can be a exhibit to those who want to praise it and honor it. But Shreveport have got to move on. 2017, we're dying on the vine in the city. And if we don't get beyond our differences, where we can start sitting on the courtyard and talk about how this city gonna grow, how this parish gonna grow, our days are doomed. I'm encouraging you, whatever you do, whether you keep the committee together or you make a decision today, we must move on if Caddo Parish is going to be the great city of the South. And I just honestly believe Caddo can be great again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have any more comments, Mr. Clerk? Next.
No, sir. All right, we'll move on to reports, administrative report.
See, we don't have extra.
Next, we move to communiques and committee reports. Just want to point out the notification that Ms. Ann Borquez no longer resides in Sewer District 2, and that seat has been vacated. Next, we move to communiques.
Anybody on the board? It's not. The queue is not up. Okay, I see Commissioner Bowman.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I just wanted to extend thanks to Director Henry and the Parks and Recreation, and thank the rest of the Caddo Parish Commission for a lovely, great event that was safe yesterday, Queensboro neighborhood reunion, and everything went well. I would thank Stormy Gage Watts also for his support and everything, and it was really phenomenal to see people get together, and there was, you know, people from all demographics together, no violence, and it just shows that if we all can pull together with the parish and the city, and we put our heads together, we can do a lot of positive things. So I just want to thank and commend Director Henry, and thank you all. Yes, sir.
All right, Vice President Dom.
I just wanted to mention for you guys, y'all be getting a notice in the future, but the Juvenile Justice Committee will be having a meeting August 17th. If y'all can put that on the calendar, it's going to be at 12 o'clock noon. It'll be at the Juvenile Justice Complex. We'll have lunch over there with the judges and some of the probation officers, along with Mr. Cox and juvenile staff, Clay Walker and his staff. So we'll actually be at the, like we've done before, at the Juvenile Justice Complex, okay? That's it.
All right, Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to let everybody know that the Economic Development Committee will be meeting on August 14th at 2 p.m. to discuss developments with North Louisiana Economic Partnership and economic development activities in the parish. Thank you.
Next, we have President's Report.
Thank you. Piggybacking on what Commissioner Bowman, is somebody else in the I'm sorry. My bad, I thought somebody else was in. These are not working up here.
No, they're stuck when we get.
Okay, gotcha. Piggyback on what Commissioner Bowman has said, Henry, I don't know if he's here, but I want to thank Henry on the opposite side of town, and then Commissioner Cawthorn's district. I know a lot of people over there. Was the 5th annual East versus West basketball game.
You play?
I did not play. My crossover was too heavy to be out there.
Oh, yeah.
But and I mean, it's so heavy I may cross myself over. It just speaks volumes of when we give folks something productive to do, what can happen. And it was a very great turnout. I put it up on Facebook. I put some pictures up as well. And I know Henry and his team, they've been working throughout the summer for activities and giving folks something productive to do. So thank you, Henry. Don't think that you and your staff, y'all's work is not going unnoticed. That was the Canaan Village deal a couple of weeks ago, and so it's been going on throughout the summer when these events have been taking place. So we appreciate you, and I just wanted to make note of that. I also wanted to announce that the intergovernmental meeting, Caddo Parish Commission is hosting the intergovernmental meeting this Friday at 11 a.m. That's August 4th at 11 a.m. In the Skybox at the Independence Stadium. We've reached out to several different agencies for update. I'll get with Todd to make sure that we're hearing back. I did get the note from Dr. Gorey. He said put him on to do the school board presentation.
Just for clarification, President Jackson, Todd, is that 11 or 11:30?
11.
At 11.
We're actually meeting 30 minutes earlier this time.
Correct, 11 o'clock, because we tend to get into a rush at the end, so the goal is that everybody come in, grab their lunch, and then we lunch at 11, and then meeting start at 11:30, hopefully. And we're not trying to compete for two, lunch and meet at the same time. I think we lose about 15, 20 minutes by everybody going through to get their lunch. We've asked the sheriff, we've asked SPD, we've asked juvenile to come out and give us a report on crime. We also will have NLEP to discuss, and I got your note, Commissioner Atkins, that you won't be in, but we've asked NLEP to come out and give us an update. So 11 a.m. August 4th, Skybox at Independence Stadium. So if you can, please attend. We look forward to having everybody there. And at some point in the very near future, legal, I think I copied y'all on that note. We're gonna take the information about the MPC off, but Councilman Fleury and I are trying to get together to have a discussion to talk about this MPC issue with the city and the parish to have a joint. And I'd ask legal if they could get with the city attorney to, all we needed, what Councilman Corbin and I talked about was just trying to get factual information. So if we can get the factual information that we need, and because I know everybody's been aware of the media discussion around getting rid of the MPC, but I think what we need is factual information and not the emotional piece. So if y'all could get together as the legal experts in the room and give us the factual information with regard to how the MPC is set up, what does the state statute say we can and can't do, and those kind of things. And we'll get together at some point to have a discussion. And that concludes my report. I'll discuss NACO on Thursday.
There's no old business. We move to new business. Zoning case P-1217 in regards to ordinance number 5707. Applicant Moore and Associates amending the zoning of property located on the south end of Singleton Road, immediately west of Brandon Road, Caddo Parish, from R8 Residential Agriculture District to R-1H Urban One Family Residential District.
Move to move this to regular session.
So a second.
Second.
All right, moved by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, second by Commissioner Doug Dominic. Please vote on moving this to Thursday. That passes 11-0.
Authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5708, adopting section 48-251 relative to subdivisions to provide that decisions of the Parish Director of Public Works under Article 3, Chapter 48 of the Code of Ordinances relative to streets within Shreveport Metropolitan Planning Area may be appealed to the Caddo Parish Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson. Could somebody just give a quick,
Yeah,
very brief?
sure. Briefly, this is the fact that in our parish attorney, Henry and I have spoken about this. There was one issue concerning the fact that street lighting, is that pretty much it? Anything to do with the streeting? Sidewalks, those type of things, is gonna be left up to, if this passes, up to the Public Works Director, but if, they can't appeal that decision to us, basically kinda doing the same thing, we want all appeals to come to us, so it gives another level of appeal back to the Parish Commission. Commissioner Johnson, LB, and myself both agreed that this was something that needed to be done.
This is all outside.
Yes, outside the parish, it does say Shreveport Planning.
Outside the city.
Yeah, outside the city limits.
Okay, all right.
Inside the parish, but outside the city.
Yeah.
Okay. Please vote.
Mr. Smith?
That passes 11-0.
Authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5709 to accept the streets in Woolworth Oaks subdivision unit 5 and 6.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Bowman. Please vote.
Move the
I'm
third.
sorry, I apologize. I do apologize. Commissioner Gage, watch it. Y'all want to say anything?
This is Jim's district. Jim,
Yeah.
you want this to go forward, correct?
That's what I was saying.
Okay. Commissioner Stormy Gage.
Yeah, I just wanted some insight on it, exactly what it is.
Okay.
Robert.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir, thank you, Mr. Glass. I just wanted some insight on exactly what we're doing here.
These are just, it's a normal subdivision road built by developers. They keep them for 2 years, and then we accept them into the parish if the roads are to our standards and there are no issues with the roads.
So these were developed by private investors who developed these streets, this neighborhood, and now we're adopting them into the parish?
For like a private street,
What type of street?
it's
was
done
it?
by a developer, but they're
It was a
to our
private street
standards,
at
and
one
we go
point?
out and inspect them. If it's private, it's a different deal.
Okay, so it was never a private road, it was a public road already?
This is a public road, correct?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. See Commissioner Lyndon Johnson in the queue.
Yeah, I also want to move to Englobo ordinance number 5710 since it's similar.
I still want to speak on this.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
Okay. I want to englobo 5710 along with 5709 because they're similar, just two different areas.
Okay.
Got a second?
Second. Okay. All right, so there's a motion by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, second by Commissioner Milton. We'll entertain that motion. We'll take that motion up after Commissioner Lynn.
Mr. Glass, Mr. Glass, come back up to the mic, please. I'm sorry, I know you. Pardon me for screaming. These roads, when they're built, were they built to Caddo Parish specifications?
Correct.
Okay, that's really the only question I had. I just wanted to make sure that if we're accepting a road into our domain, that they were built to Caddo Parish specs.
They've been inspected by us, and we've had no issues in 2 years. We bring them into our system.
Thank you. That's all.
All right, so now we have a motion to go over and introduce ordinance 5709 and 5710 by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, second by Commissioner Milton. Please vote on the in globo to introduce 5709 and 5710. That passes 11-0.
Next, discharge the Long Range Planning Committee and its subcommittees regarding action relative to the removal of Confederate States Monument from the Caddo Parish Courthouse property.
So move, and I get a second, I can explain.
Second.
All right, that moved by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, second by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watson.
So, based on talking to our parish attorney, she told me that part of Robert Rules of Order, since this went to committee and then the subcommittee went and did another advisory committee, that we have to discharge the committee, and it has to be done with a 2/3 vote. So, what I'm asking you guys today is to discharge the Long Range Planning Committee based upon the last 2 meetings that they did a no vote because members wasn't there. We already lost 1 member. He already resigned, so it went from 10 members down to 9. We had 2 meetings where there was no vote because they said that everyone wasn't there. So how long will we go with this, kicking this can down the road of, we're almost at a year now, of no vote of what we need to do? It's the decision of the Caddo Parish Commission. If some of the commissioners have been following the meetings that the public has done, you would know what citizens are saying. So basically, what the committee is doing now is just summarizing all what has been said. So right, what we need to do now is basically disband the committee. I appreciate the work that they've done. They introduced a lot of citizens to the process to let their voice be heard, and I really appreciate that. But at the same time, we need to move on. I mean, we can't keep doing this. It's just becoming a plague for the city and for the parish. To say that you have a meeting, no vote, move on to another month, have another meeting, no vote, and how long will we do this? I mean, we are elected to make decisions. All our decisions will not be easy. Some decisions will be hard. Some decisions you're going to make people mad. But at the same time, it's still our job to do that. So I think the committee has done pretty much what we asked them to do. They went out and got public input. Now, we've asked them to summarize it, that's fine. We've got a resolution in our email one day about what they wanted to do, but they didn't vote on it. So at the same time, where did that resolution come from? Where did that thought process come from? So I want you guys to think about this and vote to do this so that we can move forward with the next item that's on the agenda and determine what we really need to do. Does it need to be moved or does it need to stay there? But it's the decision of the people that sit around this horseshoe based upon the input that we've got from the public. And I'm quite sure most of you already know what the public is here. So I ask that you will support the discharge of the Long Range Planning Committee, Subcommittee, the Public the Public Advisory Committee, and let's move forward because we've held this up for way too long. Thank you.
Okay, point of clarification. It says discharge the Long Range Planning Committee. You're not talking about the Long Range Planning Committee. You're talking about that little subcommittee.
It's a subcommittee.
Okay, I just want to make
Not the committee that we have.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure.
Clarification.
Yeah.
It just discharges, because that subcommittee sits under long range, it just discharges the committee from continuing to consider this one issue. It doesn't, because that subcommittee derives its authority from the Long Range Planning Committee. So it's a discharge of the Long Range Planning Committee and the subcommittee from considering this issue.
I got you.
So wait a minute. So now, okay, so are you saying that the vote today could possibly supersede the long range? It could basically.
On
Right,
this-
what
on
you-
this
So
issue?
you discharge, so you basically, both committees, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I got you. Okay. Thanks for the clarification. Commissioner Gage Watts, will you the second one?
Yes, I will.
I'll get you on speak.
Sure. Basically, not to reiterate everything Commissioner Johnson has already said, but this is something that we have been holding on to for quite some time. And I do think by now we should have had some type of recommendation, and it's time for us to move forward in this matter. So I am for this. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Chavez on board.
Thank you, President. I'd like to make a substitute motion to englobo items 10 and 11 and to table all the ordinances, resolutions, and actions related to the removal of the monument until the Long Range Planning and its subcommittee have completed their task according to the resolution number 72 of 2016. If I can get a second.
I will second that motion. If you will clarify, you said 10 and 11, you mean Roman numeral 5 and Roman numeral 6?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's the two for the long range. And the reason being is you guys stated they haven't brought forth the information and we've had 2 no votes. They've been deliberating now for 9 months. I've been to 4 public meetings and I haven't seen you 2 at either one of them. So I've been going to the meetings. And LBJ, respectfully, I would have loved if you would have told the chairman of the long range plan that you wanted to do this, so we could have talked about this. But I feel that the Citizens Committee has worked extremely hard. You guys are unpaid volunteers, and I thank you guys for giving up your weekends, your weekdays, the numerous emails that I've seen, and a lot of hard work and purposeful communication has come out of this subcommittee. Hard communication that I think the public needed to make. So I applaud you guys for doing that. Again, LBJ, I wish we would have talked about this before it was added on there. But nonetheless, that's my substitute motion. So I would appreciate if you guys could allow them to make their recommendation for the 10th of August, which they're scheduled to give us a resolution from the subcommittee, and we can wait and let the citizens do the work that we've tasked them to do. That's all, President.
I think you might have to clarify your motion, but Attorney Frazier.
I just wanted to point out that this is what you all did in the beginning.
Yeah.
So if you do not vote favorably on the discharge, it will stay in the committee until you all come back with a report, or until they give you all a report and you come back to the body with the report without any further action.
What, point of clarification, then he can't make his motion?
He can make it, but I want you to know that it's already in place.
Right.
And so I heard to englobo this and to leave it in committee. What I don't want to end up happening is a motion for discharge going back to the committee, because that's not something that needs to go to long range planning.
So englobo and table until after.
Commissioner, if you don't do anything, the result that you're trying to reach with your motion is already in place.
Okay,
As
well,
long,
look, I think maybe it sounds like what he's trying to get at is probably somebody just putting it on the agenda week after week after week. I think, is that where you're
I'll
trying to
just
go
stick
with
with that when we vote on it.
but see,
So I think that's where he's trying to go is.
and the thing is if it's coming back on August the 10th as a practical matter, it won't be an issue, but you can always put a motion for discharge on the agenda. Even if you did that, that would not prevent somebody putting a motion to discharge it back on the agenda by a 2/3 vote.
Now, lost again, because as I understand his motion is to table issues on this.
That's correct.
That's how I understand it.
That's correct.
And you can take it off the table at any time with a 2/3
With
vote.
2/3, okay.
And so it would not prevent that.
Gotcha, okay. Just wanted clarification, all right. Commissioner Linda.
Well, I made the second, so.
Okay.
All right, so, don't make the second.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so he's made the motion to basically, I guess, table these issues
Right.
until the long range. And I understand what you're talking about, but I think from his standpoint and my standpoint too, it gets a little bit confusing for people out there. And we need to make a motion that says, hey, look, we want these guys to go forward. And I agree with Commissioner Chavez. This may have taken a little while, but this committee, subcommittee, we agreed to. I took a little different approach. My approach is, I didn't go to those meetings, okay? I stood back, I want them to do their job. I want them to make the recommendation, and then I'll make my decisions. I didn't want to get involved and be at all those committee meetings and hearing things and this and that and other. So maybe you as a commissioner are different, but that's just how I did. So I think that these guys have worked hard, and we need to wait at least till they make a recommendation. So I'm going to support Commissioner Chavez's motion, and I hope you guys do too. Without any more affair, I think we need to vote on this. I'm going to vote with Commissioner Chavez, and hopefully we'll move on until those guys can come back with a recommendation.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
That's it.
All right, Commissioner Lyndon Johnson.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, you got others spoken.
But this is on the substitute, right?
Right, it's on the substitute.
So you,
Yeah, I still want to speak.
yeah, so
Okay.
it's on the substitute.
All right. So, Commissioner Chavez, I beg to differ. I did go to the meeting, the one that was at Morningstar Baptist Church. I was there. I do know that some of the same people went to all of them, said the same thing at each one of them. So there was no sense for me to follow the same topic and the same talk in each one of them. I was a little disappointed because there wasn't many of those same kind of meetings in the black community. Most of them happened in Blanchard, happened in Southern Hills, Broadmoor, and then you had the one in Morningstar. Should have been some more in the black community so you can get more black input, but that didn't happen. Communication is a two-way street. So you saw it on the agenda as a draft. I didn't try to add it later on, but it was on there already. Could have called me just like I could have called you. But to me, this has been going on far long enough. The committee has it, the subcommittee had it for 9 months. Then your committee had it longer than that. So this has been on this topic for over a year, and we hadn't voted on it yet. You've had New Orleans had come up behind us, and they've already taken theirs down. We had other cities in the United States that's come up behind us, and they've already removed some of theirs. So, you know, it's about what you really want to do. Some objects that we had talked about here didn't even go to committee. We voted on it on the floor. Y'all said committees, that it'll die in the committee. Let's vote on this now. So we had some stuff that only lasted 2 weeks that impacted us and impacted future commissioners for years. But you voted on it in 2 weeks. So now we taking this topic and we want to talk about over a year. We've already got public input. There's no more public input that's going to happen. You already know the plus and the cons. What we're really waiting on? We're waiting on one document from the subcommittee just to say, well, based upon what we heard, this is what we think, or we based upon 5 votes to 4 votes, or what they want to do. So once we get that, do we go with that or do we amend it? So it's back to us again. So why not? We already know what they're gonna come up with. You say you went to all of them. Some other commissioners didn't. So we can always debate on what the public comments were. We can also have the public come down here. In 2 weeks, we can vote on this again. And we'll know exactly what we need to do. But to keep kicking this can down the road, all it's doing is aggravating people. You get more people involved that are not even in Caddo Parish, that will come in Caddo Parish to do more things. So why procrastinate and keep this going and just vote? You know where your heart at, where you want to vote at anyway, so vote. Don't sit here and just say, well, we're going to wait on them and then put it off to the committee to say, well, that's their recommendation and that's what we're going to go with. So you pawning everything off on the committee. Vote. That's what we're here to do. We're here to vote on hard issues. Easy issues, oh, everybody quick push the button, let's go. But hard issues, you want to wait, you want to procrastinate, let's vote. That's all I got.
Okay. See Commissioner Gage Watson, substitute.
I digress.
Okay. I see Commissioner Bowman on the substitute motion.
Yes, sir. I just pretty much from an unbiased standpoint, just wanted to say we do need to just make, first of all, I want to applaud the hard work of the committee because there was a lot of work and time and effort put into that, and we owe you all the gratitude, and the citizens do as well. I just think I don't want us to get to the point where we're back procrastinating and at the end of the day, we are the governing body to make our decisions for the citizens, and I think the citizens have been waiting long enough to try and see what we're gonna decide, and we've allowed the Citizens Advisory Committee to work. I just think, just like with this decision, this matter, and other matters, we need to just do its due process, but also make sure that we just go ahead and move. And like you said, it's gonna be hard votes and things of that nature, but that's what we're here to do. We have to make that decision, and so we need to move on and get off the toilet on it.
All right, Commissioner Caddo.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should move forward. What I would like to do is see that we suspend the rules, and I'd like to hear from the chairman of that subcommittee to see exactly where they at.
Is he here? I just bring him up.
Is he here?
Well, just come on up there. And just
We need to vote on that?
I don't know if we need to suspend. I can just bring him up. Yeah, I just bring him up.
We're in the middle of a vote, so
Oh, okay.
no problem.
I apologize.
So,
Do we need a motion so then there would be another substitute motion?
We can't do We can't do that.
It's on a different one, you can vote to suspend the
Yeah,
rules.
you can vote to suspend the rule.
Second.
So there's a motion to suspend the rules, to bring up Mr. R.J. Johnson, second by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson to bring up Mr. R.J. Johnson. This is a vote to suspend the rules to bring up Mr. R.J. Johnson. There's no debate on suspension of the rules, so we can suspend them or not. All right, so there's a motion to suspend the rules. Please vote to suspend the rules. If you're gonna vote yes to suspend, vote yes. If you vote no to suspend the rules, vote no. But it's an up and down vote.
Mr. Cawthorn,
All right, rules are suspended. That passes 10-1 to suspend the rules. Mr. R.J. Johnson, if you're here and would like to come up, I guess we have to say that if you would like to come up.
Can I have a
Well, I
point
can
of
answer any
clarification?
questions. I don't have anything to add to the debate. If any questions are from the commission, I can have an answer.
Okay. One.
Would he be speaking on behalf of himself, or would he be speaking on behalf of the committee as a whole?
I'm gonna leave that to the maker.
Oh, in his capacity as chairman of the committee.
So, and we can't compel you to say anything, but if you would like to.
Mr. Chairman, may I, point of
Okay, I'm
order?
sorry. Go ahead.
This is just logistic issues, I take it. Is that correct? You're trying to get a feeling for what the timing is? You're not, okay.
What we want to understand is how close are you guys to, for the sake of debate?
Yeah.
If you guys had to vote today, you guys have already decided pretty much which direction you guys gonna go in terms of a recommendation, or how close you are to a recommendation.
Commissioner Cawthorn, there is a recommendation that came from the drafting group that is on the table for discussion. It is on the agenda for action. So it is just basically ready for the advisory committee to take action on it when the committee deems it's ready.
So if you guys met again on August the 10th, it wouldn't be a delay. You reasonably certain that a vote will be cast and a recommendation made.
It is my hope, and as the chair, I can be overruled by the members of the committee, as you guys are well aware. But we've scheduled that meeting for the 10th. All of the committee members have indicated to me that they would be present for that day, which is why we scheduled that day. I'm actually missing my Young Democrats of America National Convention that starts that Wednesday to be here for that vote. So while I can say that we have it on the agenda and that meeting is scheduled, my hope is that we will take a vote or some type of action on that day. However, as you know, Parliament procedure-wise, I cannot guarantee that.
Correct.
Is that it?
That was my question as well.
Okay.
All right.
And you did say that there is a draft recommendation.
Yes, sir. Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
Is it publicly known what that draft recommendation is?
It is. That recommendation was noticed, just like all of our other meetings. That recommendation was passed by the drafting group on a 2-1 vote, and that draft recommendation was to call for the relocation of the monument. In addition to that, it called for minimal public funds to be used for that, and the creation of a public-private partnership to raise money for the actual relocation expenses.
Okay, now, the committee is down to 9 individuals, right?
Yes, sir.
And we tried to replace one with another one, but that didn't work. So we should end up with one way or the other with an odd number. Has you did get a commitment from all 9 that they would be at the next meeting. That what
We
you're saying?
were told that there were no conflicts with that date. So that's why we scheduled the date as it was.
Okay, what about the prior 2 meetings? Were there any conflicts
There-
that kept people from coming? I
Well-
mean, when you made the meeting that you said, they said that they could be there, but then. there
The
was some
July
that-
6th meeting was set at our June the 8th meeting. When that meeting was set on July the 6th, that was an alternative date, and July the 27th were set in advance. We decided, again, the committee said that they would meet, and we would schedule it if the drafting committee had finished drafting the recommendation for that July 6th meeting. They did finish, I believe, on June the 30th, and so we scheduled that July 6th meeting, as we had previously said in our public meeting. One of the committee members, as you're well aware, could not be present, and a member of the committee made the motion to postpone until that member could be present. I scheduled the later meeting at the request later, so that member could be there. I did not know that whether that member was going to be present or not, but we went ahead and scheduled it for July 18th because we had 2 additional members of the committee that were not present. Members felt that it was fair to postpone that meeting as well. When we did speak about that, that is when I called other committee members who were not to see if the date was correct before I proposed it to the members, so that we will all be aware on public record when that next vote would be, or when that next meeting would be.
Thank you for your hard work.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for your hard, the whole committee for your hard work.
Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to go back into regular order?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gage, Watt, second by Commissioner Chavez to go back into regular order. Is there an objection to going back into the regular order? All right, so we now are back where we are. We have a substitute motion on the table do you want to clarify your motion?
It was to englobal those 2 and to table them until after the subcommittee's long-range planning comes with their resolution.
All right, so that's the motion. It's very specific on this motion. All right, please vote on the motion to table this issue until after the committee has come back with their recommendation. Oh, well, there's some people who want to
I
speak.
did want to say
Hold on.
That's all right, mine got resolved.
this. I left early on one meeting because I had to go to Sled Hill, so I apologize for saying you weren't there.
Okay.
I left before I got to see Hubby J.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Mr. Cawthorn?
That motion failed 5-6 to table. If I'm clear. That substitute motion failed, right? To table indefinitely.
Right.
All right, so now we need to make a motion.
Go to the.
No, it's the original
The
motion.
original motion.
To
All right.
discharge.
So please vote to discharge.
So this is moved to Thursday,
Move
correct?
to Thursday.
Okay, that's moved to Thursday.
All right, that moves to Thursday.
Next, authorized introduction of ordinance number 5711 of 2017, remove the Confederate monument from the Caddo Parish Courthouse grounds.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Bowman. Please vote.
Just moved to Thursday, correct?
Move to Thursday.
So then, who would-
Do I need to talk about it?
I think you want to.
Yeah.
Well, voted.
were you in the queue?
Okay, Commissioner Lyndon Johnson.
Okay, now this ordinance is based on moving the Confederate monument.
Clear the board, please.
All right.
Clear the vote. Okay, go ahead.
All right, the courthouse should be a place of justice and fairness to everyone. In 1906, people who looked like me was not able to give a voice to say that that monument should not be placed there. In 2017, we had that voice that you could say that it shouldn't be placed there. If you were an employee working for a company and there was something that was offensive, offended you, and you take it to that employer, that employer would have to do something about that offensive object or behavior. we have Caddo Parish employees that are offended by that particular statute. So as the commission, we should do something about it. You have citizens in Caddo Parish that's offended by it. So we should do something about that. And it's gone on too long, been in that spot, and it's been over years before we've actually had a vote on it. So I think that we should move this monument to a place that when people want to go see it, will be fine, will be a museum, will be a cemetery that would be honorable for those that want to have that as a monument to go see. I got a call one day, and one lady asked me, well, what if we start talking about moving all the other statues in Caddo Parish? And I said, if it's a cause that is important to you, do it. And then she told me, well, that's penny ante. Well, if it's a penny ante subject to you, then don't move upon it. But if it's something that means a lot to you, you need to move upon it or take a stance. And once you take a stance, go for that stance. And today, I'm asking you to advance this. So we'll have a 2-week layover. We can have additional public comments. And then we can actually decide to vote on this. Because I think it's way past due for what we need to do. Thank you.
All right. Who's the second one?
Bowman.
Commissioner Bowman wants to speak.
No, I mean, he pretty much said what I wanted to say. I just want to again say from, again, unbiased side and just from what I've gathered from people, that it's just, I mean, when you go to the courthouse, it's supposed to be a place of equity and justice. And so as a result, you know, a lot of people get a negative connotation about it. And I don't feel that there should be any damage to it, but I think in its place, that's, I mean, that's, you're saying it's history, but that's a part of history. Where's today's history? Where is what's going on now? That's not what's happening, and it's disenfranchising to a lot of people, and it's discouraging, even to someone who may even have a court case, and to walk someplace and they feel that, hey, I may not even have a fair trial because of, and as Ms. Hammock mentioned about people moving here. We're supposed to be a progressive parish. We're supposed to move forward, and if it's not about what it's supposed to be about, and if everybody says it is, then we should just go ahead and, if we're really concerned about Caddo and moving things forward. I know its purpose, and my mother knew it as well in 2011, and so I just think, just like the flag, that it's time for it to be removed. We need to do the same thing with the monument. Thank you.
All right, Vice President Dominic.
Yeah, it just kind of comes back to the same issue that we talked about a while ago, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but and don't really want to get into the issues of why it should or shouldn't be there. I simply think that we need to wait until the subcommittee makes the recommendation. Therefore, I think we need to vote no on this until the subcommittee makes the recommendation. Back when this subcommittee was set up in October and November of last year, I've been happy to make a tough decision. It didn't bother me. It doesn't bother me to make a tough decision. I'll make it. The only thing is I think it's disrespectful for the subcommittee that has worked for a year and had these meetings, that we at least need to allow them to come to us and make a recommendation. After they make a recommendation, then we can make the tough decision. We can make the decision to go along with the recommendation. We can make the decision not to go along with the recommendation. At least we will have heard it. So I am suggesting and requesting that we vote no on this issue at this time.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I'd like to make a substitute motion just to table this one until after August the 10th, so we get their resolution. I'd appreciate if you guys voted yes. Obviously, we're going to talk about why.
Hold on. There's a motion to.
A second.
There's a motion to postpone till after their August 10th meeting, second by Commissioner Middleton. Okay. Now.
All right, and LBJ, I don't disagree with all your points, but I don't want to step on the toes of the people that have been working for 9 months. So if I get a yes on this, guys, next month we can come back and revisit this, and everybody will be happy.
That's all.
All right, Commissioner Atkins, one moment. Are you
Commissioner-
on the substitute?
Commissioner Chavez sums it up well, thank you.
Commissioner Gage Watkins.
Thank you, sir. I understand what I've heard.
It's on the substitute. Let's be clear, it's on the substitute.
Okay, on the substitute motion in regards to waiting another 2 weeks, basically, that's what we will be doing today, is waiting another 2 weeks. This is an ordinance, so it has to wait 2 weeks before our final passage of it. So with that being said, I do understand and have heard the recommendations that have already come forward. We know what that will be, so there's no need to wait on it to go any further. So with that being said, I will support the original motion to move this forward, and for all of the reasons that are obviously stated. Thank you.
I apologize, and I'm out of order. Commissioner Milton made the second, so Commissioner Milton.
That's okay. Ladies first in the man. My turn?
Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, I appreciate all the work the committee has done, and I think we've gotten a record around here of appointing subcommittees. They come back and give their findings wherever, and then if it doesn't please commissioners, they go ahead and vote against it anyhow. They turn down the findings of the committees, and that kind of irritates me. And now we have this committee that's out here now established for about 10 months. And I'll be able to let them come and have an individual vote, see how it goes. I don't know if I can really expect one person to come up here and speak the mind of everyone. I think we do have a chairman, and there's nothing distrustful there, Mr. Johnson, but I think we should have that opportunity. Another thing is, I hear this thing about suspects or potential people charged with things going in the courthouse, can they get a fair trial? I don't know how many cases have been overturned by appellate courts because somebody was able to make a justified, reasonable to the courts that they were discriminated against because of their race. I just don't know, because that's why we have the appellate court, so they can find that out, so they can look at it and judge that. And the other thing is, my gosh, why wait so long? It's over 100 years it's been there. Prescription, I think it's 30 years, something like that on real estate. Why are we having this disagreement? I believe it's been established through newspaper articles, handshakes, or whatever in the past of it, where it is, and let's just leave it there. I just think that's the way it should be. That's my opinion. But again, bringing up the stuff about whether or not get a fair trial, I just don't see that. That happens in the jury selection process, and then if there's a bad jury, then that gets overturned later on. I just think that's the way the court system works. If you take it down completely, does that mean everybody's going to get more of a fair trial? I don't think people go into being a juror with the intent of finding somebody guilty because of their race. I think they do their best to establish that first. And that's not going to change what's out there on the courthouse square. If we get rid of it, does that mean we're going to have more people found innocent? I don't think so. I just think there's a lot here, and I've never seen anything that mentions the word slavery on that. It mentions it's memorializing people who died in the defense of whatever their country's thoughts were. If they were fighting for the defense of the Confederacy, we don't know their true reason, whether they're there to support the continuation of slavery, or they're there because they're conscripted to serve. And there's lots of mothers, and if you were the same, if you had a child or somebody lost in a war or something, you didn't know where they were, you wanted a memorial for them too, a public memorial. And I think that's what this is about. It's about people who lost their family members, serving their country, conscripted to do so, and whatever reason they died, or their bodies were never found. And I have one constituent in mind that he had 7 of his forefathers that fought in the war from the Arkansas side of it, and 5 of them got killed in the war. You know, he wants to keep it right where it's at. I think that's what it's for, and I think that's why those were put up all over the South. It's to memorialize death, not a cause. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. President, ma'am.
Well, one moment. Commissioner Caddo.
Yeah. I just want to clarify that by the time we meet again, this lays over 2 weeks, the committee would have had time on August 10th to make its recommendation. So when we get ready to do the final vote, we will have taken into consideration the committee's recommendation. Correct?
I'd like to see the individual votes of each person on the committee.
This is a public subcommittee. That it? All right. Have you gone, is this your first or second? I think this may be
third.
This is my second.
So Commissioner Bowles.
Yes, sir. I just wanted respectfully to clarify to you, Commissioner Middleton, what I meant when I was saying about the area of, not so much about race, but what I can speak, I'm saying when someone's coming in, let me just say as a minority myself, or just as a black man, if someone's going into a place, I'm not saying that the judgment may be feeling some way, I'm saying as myself walking into the courthouse, coming in, on what I've heard from people around who, when they walk up those steps, they don't feel like they're gonna get a fair chance. They don't feel welcome, regardless of what you're saying. When I'm walking in and I see this what was standing for, we're not taking away from his historical presence, but let's be real. This is real. This is how people feel, and it may not seem real to you, but that's what's going on. And when people walk up in that courthouse, they don't feel when they walk across that that they're gonna get a fair chance. Not saying that's not what's happening once you get in there, but I'm saying when you're that person walking up, I should be able to have the right to feel that when I'm going to a courthouse and anything else, that it's going to be fair and there's going to be equity and everything for that. I shouldn't have to feel to be reminded of one part of history. If we're going to have this piece, let's tell the whole story. Just like we have the thing with people who are hanging are still on the top floor. That's history, but we don't have anything else talking about current history. And then there's no way we can move forward if we're going to keep having this mentality. That's all.
All right. I think everybody else has gone. Attorney Frazier, did you want to make a clarification?
Yes.
Okay.
You all have moved to Thursday, the motion on the discharge,
Right.
correct?
That's correct.
Now, if that is done, then you're not authorized to receive a report from the committee at that point. If you vote on Thursday to discharge them, that's it for the committee.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that you understand that.
What's the vote? Does it take just 7 votes to discharge? I mean,
It takes 2/3
it's gonna take 2/3 of our vote Thursday to.
to discharge. If that is not done, then it remains in place for you to receive whatever they do on the 10th.
Okay.
That it?
That's it.
I have a question. What if on Thursday, the discharge motion and Commissioner Chavez, because he has a right to make his motion again to postpone indefinitely. What if, and I'm totally hypothetical, what if that motion passes on Thursday? Because what I see the media here, and I see the public here, and folks need to understand what is happening. Just because it is introduced today does not mean it's going to pass on Thursday. It could be introduced today and still either fail or be postponed or substituted. His motion can carry on Thursday. So I want to be clear about that.
That is correct.
And so what happens if his motion to postpone succeeds on Thursday?
Then it will stay with the committee.
But what if this passes, the ordinance passes?
If the ordinance passes?
The ordinance to introduce is introduced now. Have I confused you?
The ordinance to introduce cannot be acted upon unless you successfully act upon the motion to discharge.
Okay.
So this will know if that motion that Commissioner Chavez makes on Thursday passes, then the introduction is voided.
That cannot be introduced.
Okay, just want to be clear. I want to make sure everybody's clear on where we are. Like I said, I know the media's out there and they got to write the story up. So just because the motion to discharge was introduced today does not guarantee that the duties of that committee has been discharged. And I want to be clear.
It's gonna take 2/3.
And plus it's gonna take a 2/3 vote to take a supermajority vote on Thursday for that to pass. So just want to be clear about that before we get hysterical out there, all right? Okay. And I wasn't in the queue for that. I was on for a question to Attorney Frazier. I'm in the queue now, and I'd like to call for the question on this issue.
Second.
All right. Yeah. I can't do that. I want to be clear.
You can't
Attorney,
make all that discussion and then.
I want to be clear. Attorney Frazier was on the board. She made her statements. Is that, you made your statements, and I had a question for you. Okay? So as the chair, I'm being recognized, and I'm calling for the question, which has been seconded by Commissioner Dominic. So I was not using my time when I was asking her the question, all right? I wanted to be clear on that, all right? So I'll call for the question on the issue. All right, that passes 9-2. Call for the question. All right, so we're back on the question for the motion to the substitute motion to, you want to clarify your motion?
Yes, I'd like to table this until after August 10th.
All right, that's the motion, so yes.
Until after the committee gives us their verdict.
Okay.
That's after August 10th.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, if you want to table, no, if you do not want to table. All right, please vote on the motion. Yes, if you want to table, no, if you don't want to table. That passes 7-4 to table. All right. Next.
All right, next, authorize introduction of ordinance number 5712, to place a fence around the Caddo Parish Courthouse.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, second by Commissioner Cawthorn. All right, Commissioner Lynn. I apologize, I've got to get my stuff together. It's been a while since we've been up here. Commissioner Lyndon.
Yeah, this was a request from the sheriff department to place this fence around the courthouse. They did it once before, but I don't think there was enough clarification and understanding, so it failed. But this time, actually, you guys advanced this and support it. It's basically putting a wrought iron fence around the courthouse. It will then make the courthouse green similar to being a park. So the courthouse will be open at a certain time, and the grounds will be closed at a certain time. And then that will help law enforcement to enforce the laws that are in place for anyone who's trespassing.
All right. Next, Commissioner Cawthorn for a second.
Yeah, I just echo the sentiments of Commissioner Johnson for all of the public safety issues that are addressed with that. I think this would be a way to knock some of that stuff down so they have a control mechanism.
All right, Commissioner Matthew.
Motion to postpone indefinitely.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Lynn, second by the chair. Well, actually,
And I'd like to speak
can I
on this.
withdraw my motion? I'd like to make another substitute. I'm gonna withdraw my motion.
Oh,
I mean, I'm
okay,
withdrawing
well,
my
I'm sorry,
second.
okay.
I'll withdraw my second. I think there's a better motion.
Can you move it?
Do it.
Can you move it to long range meetings?
Well, I mean, they could always bring it up in long-range planning committee. I'm just,
Okay. So I withdraw my motion.
if you can.
I mean, I withdraw my second.
Okay.
Anybody else to second the motion?
I'll second it. You make a substitute, he'll move it to substitute.
Okay, I'd like to speak on this in that you talk about openness to a courthouse and then you want to put a fence around it. I think that it sends off the wrong signal that the courthouse is accessible to everybody and anybody, and it's the grounds where people meet to discuss issues. And if you put a fence around it, then you're separating the legal system from the people that fund the legal system. We've brought this issue up, fencing in the courthouse many times, and many times my core roots are opposed to putting a fence around the courthouse. I do not think we should put a fence around the courthouse, and I ask that y'all support me in postponing this indefinitely. That's all.
Okay, Commissioner Chavez on the second.
Yeah, I agree with Matthew about the courthouse belongs to the people, but in the sense of agreement, I'm going to second this in hopes that we can move this to long range to discuss further some different options that the people will agree upon. Thank you, President.
All right, I see Commissioner Atkins on board.
Thank you. This issue has come up in the past, and generally I'm very supportive of the sheriff and law enforcement. But in this particular case, I have to share the views of my colleagues, Commissioner Chavez and Commissioner Lynn, and that I think the courthouse lawn should be open and inviting and accessible to all people, all law-abiding citizens at all times, and I would hate to see it shut off with a fence. And I also think we have other uses for the proposed $200,000 expense. Thank you very much.
All right, Vice President Down.
I'd like to make a motion that this matter be sent to Long Range Committee for further study.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Dominic to send this to the Long Range Planning Committee, second by Commissioner Milton to send to Long Range Planning Committee. You want to speak on that?
Yeah, two things. I'm gonna try to keep this short. Number one, it was in Long Range Committee, and we needed to probably work on this some more. I know Commissioner Chavez and I both met with the sheriff about this issue, and I think it just needs to go back to the Long Range Committee so that we can look at this in more detail. And number two, I think the more important thing is we're in July right now. This is going to cost us at least a couple $100,000. We probably need to, if we're going to do this, maybe put it on next year's budget. We've talked about that. I think that's something that we need to look at. And number three, if the Confederate monument didn't get moved, I mean, you're going to spend, how much is that going to cost in a fence? So I think at this point, to me, this is a no-brainer. Let's just send it to the Long Range Committee. Let's let them look at it, find out how much it's going to cost, and let's see if we can do a little study to find out, if that's what we really want. I do know it is something the sheriff requested, and I feel strong for supporting the sheriff, and I understand Commissioner Lynn's views also. So that's my motion.
All right. Commissioner Milton was on the second.
Yes, I also have a tendency to support the sheriff too, and also possibly this one on Commissioner Johnson. We're so close to budget for the next year. I think it would be, we're really not going to achieve a lot, but go ahead and try and move this to the front of everything else. I'd like to see exactly where the fence will run, and hopefully Kevin, facilities and maintenance, will go ahead and do us a schematic for whenever. Hopefully we'll take it to the Long Range Committee. That's where I think it should go, and then have a schematic of where we're going to put the fence and all that, and then a more true idea of what the cost is going to be, because I don't believe in overruns from $200,000 to $400,000. So I expect them to be able to do that. So
okay,
I'd like to see it go to Long Range Committee.
Okay, Commissioner Lyndon Johnson.
Okay, there again, y'all trying to stick this into another committee. The budget won't be impacted much because it's coming from general funds. There is already a rendering of the fence around the courthouse.
A what?
A rendering.
A drawing?
A drawing.
Okay.
He's from the country. Rendering means something different.
That's a schematic.
There's already a
rendering
estimate.
means to me when the judge renders that decision.
There's also rendering means a drawing too. So, an estimate.
Engineer and the lawyer.
There's already an estimate that's done. This has come before us before. So why send it to a committee? We didn't send it to a committee last time. Just killed it and it was dead. So now it's coming back up again. Let's see. It's already been budgeted. It already has a budget estimate, and it's not going to affect any budget that you're talking about that's going to impact us. And this is more excuses. Either you're going to do it or we're not. You're going to send it to committee, which committee it'll hold over it for another 3 or 4 months. Now we're in 2018. So, either we're going to do it or not. Make the decision. This commission was gung-ho in the very beginning on making decisions, and now we've got to the point of send it to committee, let it sit over in the committee for a while, and then we'll vote on it sooner or later. So, there again, we're either going to do it or we're not. One of the reasons why I'm so supportive of it now, there was a Facebook video put out probably about around May of a guy in Monroe was coming to Shreveport to have a rally on a Sunday. And luckily law enforcement called on hold to it, and they kind of staffed up a little bit to do it. So basically what we'll be doing is anybody who says that they're going to have something at the courthouse now can have it, but at the same time, the sheriff department has to have people on standby, which now costs the taxpayers and costs us, because they gotta have somebody there to make sure that nothing happens. And then if they do meet on the sidewalk, then you got to notify Shreveport Police that they could possibly need to be in the area of something if something happens. So the fence is not to keep people out, because, I mean, if you go to any park has hours. You can't go into the park after hours. You can, but you're breaking the law. Same thing with the courthouse. The courthouse has hours of operations in which you should go into the courthouse. When the courthouse is locked up, then you're not supposed to be going there. The library across the street has a fence around it. Did you know that? Rest of my case, we're gonna worry about books. You got a courthouse.
Let's go way up on the bill.
That's it? All right. I just wanted to note that, and I keep hearing about in the beginning when we first got down here, I want to be clear that those decisions when we made last year, when we first got here, were decisions that we had Attorney General opinions on, we had legislative audit opinions on, and those were, I heard earlier, there are some easy decisions, and so for me, that was an easy decision to make. I'll support the motion to send this to long range, because this is a budget item, and I think that budget items at least need to be vetted through the committee process. I've never not been a fan of the committee process, but there are some things that are very clear and unequivocal. So being this close to budget time, I will support the motion. I look forward to having a conversation with the sheriff, but I do know that the Downtown Development Authority has expressed some concern about putting a fence. And so, you know, you got issues with the design. Somebody has suggested, could you put some sort of electronic deal around it? Because I believe their issue is security and making sure that folks are not just coming on at all times of the night. I think the issues with the protests are almost a byproduct of the other conversation. I think the security at night and when folks are not down there on the weekends are the biggest issues. So some additional conversation with the hope and expectation that we could come up with something and that it could be included in our 2017 or 2018 budget. So I'll support the motion to defer to the committee. All right. Is there anybody else on the board? Please vote.
Now, just to be clear, what are we voting on?
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor there's a substitute to send to long range planning committee. All right.
Always like to make sure when I know what I'm voting
So yes to send to long range planning committee, no to go to the other motion.
I love you.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody had vote?
Cawthorn?
I vote.
He voted.
Okay.
That passes 8-3 to send to long range planning committee.
Authorize resolution number 62 of 2017. Authorize parish administrator to sign an intergovernmental agreement with the State of Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Matthew Lynn. Please vote on aye. Okay, that passes 11-0. Next.
Authorize rental of Catholic Center Hollywood Auditorium not to exceed $380 for Alley Cats Allies Forum.
Move to Thursday.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Lynn, second by Commissioner Bowman. Okay. Did I get that right?
This is,
Yes, sir.
I'm happy to discuss this, yes. Alley Cats, this is the implementation of the program that would be designated for Highland only. It moved out of committee. The city of Shreveport has been working on this, Will Bradford, Oliver Jenkins, and Jeff Everson, because they share Highland. Attorney Donna Frazier, to my understanding, has been working with Will Bradford. Anyway, this group is coming here from Pennsylvania on their own dime, and the rental of the Catholic Center is $380. And so this is asking the parish to pay that $380 rental charge while they're in town.
Is it a one-time fee?
It's a one-time fee. for 5 hours includes security.
All right. Commissioner Bowe?
Ditto.
Okay. I see Commissioner Lyndon Johnson on the board.
Yes, I thought anytime we allocated funds, it had to be an ordinance.
This is just basically, it doesn't take an appropriation because of the amount, and this is to authorize those funds. I believe it's coming from the commission's fund.
That's correct.
So it's not coming from, a fund where you have to do a budget ordinance.
Okay. So this is from the commission fund. So
That
this
was
is
my, that was my
It's
understanding.
gonna come out of our, office supply fund, sir.
Office supplies
Yes.
fund. That don't fit right to me, I'm sorry, but.
Well,
If it's supposed to be office supplies, how is it office supplies, but it's doing.
We
a
can
rental?
choose from others, but we've got it in the account, in our fund that we can take it from, so I just said the office supplies.
Okay.
Help the cats out. Come on.
All right. Okay. All right. Seeing no other questions, please vote on the order. On the item. That passes 10-1. All right.
Authorize
Do it for the
appointment,
kiddies.
appointment to Sewer Board, District Number 2, Mr. Steve Barris, Sewer District 2.
I move that, we advance to Thursday, Roman numeral item 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, basically the remaining, authorizations.
So moved. How about
Second. Moved by Commissioner Dominic to englobo the remainder of those items, second by Commissioner Middleton.
It's everything else except consent.
Okay. All right, please vote
Well-
on the englobo and introduction. That passes. That passes 11-0.
Okay.
All right,
Next, we have consent agenda.
so move for adjournment. Moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Middleton. You have everything else?
We have a quick property standards
All right,
meeting.
this meeting is adjourned. Okay.
We didn't have
Doing property standards in here? Doing it in here?
Yes, sir, we're doing it right here.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hi, this is Karen Bell, Catherine Bell's mother. I'm calling to confirm her appointment for tomorrow morning. I think it's at 9.